Remember how I said earlier how rendering lists is one of the most common tasks in React development? Well, this application is no exception. And so let's now render the list of packing items. And first of all, let's go to our CSS file, because that's again where I pasted this array of initial items. So let's grab that. We can also close index.js, and I will paste it here at the very top. So you see that we have, once again, an array with a few objects. And in this case, each object describes one item to be packed. So each of them has an ID, a description, quantity, and here the packed property, which tells us whether this one has been packed or not. So based on this, we will then display the item a little bit differently. So here, well, here we don't have any. So here in the demo app. So you see right now it's not packed, but if it is packed, then you see it is like strike through. Okay, so let's now take these items here and render them as a list into our UI. So as the name says, we're going to do that in the packing list. So first of all, let's again use semantic HTML and convert this div into a UL. So into a unordered list. All right, and then immediately here, we enter JavaScript mode. Because remember how we render lists in React? Well, we simply use the map method that we already know on the array. So initial items, and later on we will of course then, when we make this dynamic, use another array here. But again, for now, here we just want to render something. So just to make this work. Okay, then inside the map method, each of the elements will be, let's say, an item. All right, and then for each item, what we want to render is an item component. So let's immediately write that here, and we will then create the item component in a minute. So item, and then we pass in as a prop the entire item. So item, and then item again. Let's close this here. So you see we have a lot of items here. So the name of the component, the name of the prop, and then here the object itself, which remember is the argument of this callback function in each iteration over this array. So nothing new here at this point, I hope. So I'll give this a save, but of course item is not defined. So let's quickly take care of that. And now here we need to accept the props, right? So we can do it like this, remember, but even better, we can immediately destructure this and then give it the name here of the prop that we passed in, which is item. And again, it could be anything. It could be object, like obj or x or anything. But yeah, it's easier to just call it item here because that's what it is. It's just a packing item, so to say. So here, this item should be now an li element, so a list item, because that's usually what direct children of the UI or of the UL element should be. And then just to start, just to see if it's working, let's simply render, I think it's called description. Yes, that's it. We'll just copy that actually. So item.description, give it a save, and there it is. So we have passports and socks. Now the styling here is a little bit off. And the reason for that is that here I actually did a mistake in the HTML. So here, let's actually create a div. And then it's this div that is supposed to have the list class. All right. And the reason for that is that later on, we will have another element in here for these filters. So we will have a div for these two things down here. All right. So of course, for me, that's easy to see now because I already built the app beforehand. But once you start building your apps on your own, there will be a lot more back and forth, which of course I cannot do here in this course because then it would take just forever. Okay, but anyway, let's now add some more here. So we don't just want a description, we also want this icon here for deleting, and later we will want this checkbox, but let's leave that for later actually. So here let's create a span element. So for the text, let's grab that, paste that here, and then we also want the item dot, let's see, it's the item dot quantity, exactly. So item dot quantity, and notice how sometimes Prettier creates like these empty strings here in our JSX. So many times this is not necessary, so just get rid of that. And now finally, we need that delete button. And for now, we won't attach any event handler here, but we will just place an icon here in the form of an emoji. So maybe like that. So this X right here. And again, if you can't make this work, then you can just write the X like this, or also like this. So that would work as well. All right. So this has now been rendered here based off this list. And if we duplicate this and add something else here, like a charger, one charger, then there it is. Now to finish, let's just mark one of them as packed. So make this one true so that we can add some additional styling here. So we want to basically have some strike through there. So that's simple stuff. So let's come here to the item. And here we will now conditionally add some styling. So instead of conditionally adding a class, here I want to conditionally simply add some style. So let's write style, and then it immediately enters JavaScript mode. But now I will not immediately write the object of CSS properties. Instead, let's actually use the ternary operator to decide which object the style should actually receive. So if item is packed, and here we don't really need a condition because this is already a Boolean. So if it is packed, then we want an object which will contain some CSS for the strike through. But if not, so if the item is not packed, then we will want to return this empty object. And so then no styles are going to be applied. So the CSS property that we're looking for is called text decoration. And let's set it to line through like this. And that worked quite nice. All right, so let's try another one just for fun. And yeah, immediately you see that it gets strike through as well. So this was yet another way of using the ternary operator to conditionally set some style here. So you see that we have a lot of freedom in React. And again, we simply use the JavaScript tools that we already have for this kind of stuff.